So first of all, before I start sharing screen and all of that, I am my name is Mohamed Behairy, known for people call me Shaban as well. So I am a product manager at Capital One, which is a bank in the United States. I'm originally from Egypt. I started my career as a web developer a long time ago, and built a couple of startups. Last one in Egypt was Ishtari, which was a mobile commerce platform. And I left the company and I moved to the United States to start another startup in the kind of a nutrition and health space, which was a disaster, didn't succeed at all. But I ended up learning a lot from it. It was the most precious kind of learning experience I had. And then I had a couple of product management jobs in startups, a company called Behairy, which is an e-learning company, and then IBM, and now Capital One. And during that time, also, I did my master's at University of Southern California in integrated design, business, and technology. So yeah, that's me. And maybe also it actually would help me kind of to understand who also is, with me here, just to, because the topic of token economics is kind of a big topic, and we will talk about the skill sets needed for that. So it would help me to understand a little bit who is attending. So if you guys can introduce yourself, like, in a few seconds, what you do, that would be great. Robbie and Omar. Or maybe not ready for that. You can just move on, maybe.
I believe you would, maybe they are expecting a presentation or something.
Sorry?
Maybe people was expecting like presentation and some details.
Yeah.
They don't mention it as a Q&A or something like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as the token economics I was talking, as I was saying, is like a very kind of like, it's a new topic, new, let's say science, maybe, or art, whatever, and requires like wide variety of skill sets. And that's why I wanted to understand what everyone is doing, like does with their work, with their life. But in general, let's start here. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, so basically, like, let's start by asking a very basic question. What is a token ecosystem? Okay, so this is the definition here, as I mentioned, I got it from a white paper that was written recently, and I will talk about the sources, so you guys can hopefully read these sources that I got this information from. So a token ecosystem is a decentralized network engineered to align a secure and incentivized economic system, despite being laden with uncertainty. So this is actually like, it's a mouthful kind of definition, but there's like different pieces here. So first of all, it's a decentralized network, and that's a key word, decentralized, right? We all know it, but one keyword here is the word engineered. So it's actually intentionally designed, you know, to reach a specific outcome. And that's basically to align everyone within that network, okay, and incentivize them to basically interact together in a secure way. But the problem is with like any decentralized system is uncertainty, right? Why there is a problem with uncertainty? One of the issues we like have in all the with anyone that tried to create a decentralized system before is how do we create trust? Yeah. So in the current system, in the current centralized system, we have governments that is granting us this trust, you know, or banks, you know, especially in fintech, which probably where we are all focused right now. Banks, for example, make sure that if I'm sending money to, let's say, Fawaz, he just joined, okay? So banks make sure that I have the money, it removes the money from my account, okay? And then adds the money, like gives Fawaz the money and makes sure his new balance reflects that he received that money that I sent him. Okay. This seems like a simple process, but on the back end, what happens behind the scenes is like very complicated to just make sure that, you know, everyone trusts that system. Right now, we have Venmo, we have PayPal, we have like Cash App, whatever, that we can send money to each other, and we know for sure that this money is going to arrive. So in contrast with decentralized systems, what we see in centralized systems is certainty. I'm certain that whatever action I'm taking is gonna happen. You know, and the outcome I intend is actually gonna, I'm gonna achieve it. But in decentralized systems, that's the problem. How do we basically guarantee a specific outcome? So what is the end goal for this? Okay? And as I mentioned, to reach a point of equilibrium, okay? One where it's the utility is fully optimized and the network is in balance. So when the example I mentioned about like me sending money to Fawaz, for example, here, the problem is this is a value, okay? This is a value moving from my wallet to his wallet, okay? But the problem is, how can we make sure that this value is not abused, that there is no value leakage within the system? Yeah. So I had, like, for example, I have to be a rational, like both of us have to be rational actors, meaning we're doing what is really right. We're not thieves, you know, no one is trying to game the system somehow. And if someone tries to game the system, we want to end up anyway with a balanced network, right? Everything is optimized to reach a balanced network. So if, let's say, we have, the network just has, you know, the 5 of us here in this session, and the total amount of tokens we have is 20 tokens, okay, whatever its name. And I move the value, let's say 2 tokens move from me to Omar's account. Okay. We want to end up with 20 at the end of the day as well. Okay, it's not like I keep sending 2 tokens to everyone and so on. That's just to give you an example. So we want a balanced network and stays balanced all the time, regardless of the choices we make as actors within the network. So this is a question that I, one of the things you see that the presentation I have some empty slides because I wanted to have it as a workshop style kind of conversation. So who's an expert in token economics? Okay. I don't know if you guys can still interact or no. You can type, you can talk, but I just want to like basically, what do you think the skill sets needed to create a token ecosystem? I will give 5 seconds. If no answer, I will.
We like to hear you. You are one of the experts, Rabia.
Okay, thank you.
If you're able to join us.
Sorry?
If you're able to join us, it will be a great discussion.
Sorry, are you talking to me or are you talking to them?
No, I'm speaking to Mr. Rabia. He's one of the audience. He also
okay.
expert in the.
Yeah, please.
Thing like this, I'm not sure. I believe he's busy. Maybe you can carry on or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So in general, like the topic of token economics is or crypto economics, whatever, is fairly new. And everyone I talk to that I learn from or read their books or white papers or articles, they emphasize the point that we don't have a clear grip on this topic yet, right? So we're still experimenting, all of us around the world, So there is no clear like the science or the art itself, and I would argue it's both science and art, but aside from the philosophical conversation, the topic itself is still in its development phases, and it's hard to find someone who's like a clearly and expert that knows and tried everything, because, and then we're going to talk about like how long would it take us to create a token system, right? That we are sure that it actually works. It takes years, maybe tens of years. So we have not, like some argue, okay, that we have not reached any, like we have not created a system that we would trust 100% yet. The system that we trust the most at the moment is Bitcoin, but it's a very simple ecosystem compared to the other use cases that are being created at the moment with DeFi, with oracles, with all like blockchain innovation that is happening at the moment. Bitcoin, maybe it's the simplest one and the most trusted one. Anyway, so it's basically a team effort, right? There's no like one skill set that it's hard to define like one person, that would know everything about that. So I this is like this list of skill sets here, like user research, strategic planning, mechanism design and game theory, things like design thinking, lean startup, network science and system engineering, and of course, like blockchain, mathematics. It's hard to, like, this needs a team. Okay. And I would say actually also one of the things that would work, and it's not related necessarily to token economics, it's more of if you're working on any innovation in the world, you need diversity of thoughts, the diversity of experiences, people from different backgrounds, because also there's a lot of behavioral, and psychology, like knowledge that is needed, for something like that. So there, like, until the moment, we did not perfect any, or well, maybe some would argue that we perfected any system out there, but at least to my limited understanding, we have not designed a token system that we think, okay, that's it. We reached like the point where it is perfect. Even Bitcoin, which is the simplest one, which makes it the more trusted, it's still in the being developed, and like there's a lot of development happening on the Bitcoin side. Okay. So what are the phases, or let's say, like, they call it the 3Ds of token economics creation? The discovery phase, design phase, and deployment phase. So you can think about it as, and this is again from the Outlier Ventures white paper that they wrote, I think it was a couple of months ago, about token economics, token ecosystems creation. The point here was, what they were trying to do here is create a system that is similar to agile, or in engineering or design thinking, and a strategic, planning, or and so on. So something that you can iterate with and can repeat until you and just keep doing, like, forever, and improving. So that system has 3 phases: discovery, design, and deployment. And the graph here, we have basically the deliverables, timeline, some documents that would be, good to create, capital raising, the token itself, and how, like, what research need to happen, and basically implementation and testing, and so on. And I will give some examples to some of these, like, stuff I did for these some of these steps. But this is just to mimic kind of like agile or design thinking, but just to be specifically for token ecosystems creation. And there were, like, I wanted to talk about, like in my mind, it's hard to cover everything in 45 minutes. So, like, I wanted, like, to define or find a few topics to discuss. One of them is the token gravity. Okay, and token gravity is basically, like, as it's written here, but I'll try to explain it, is the understanding of how tokens are likely to move within the network. So I mentioned me sending tokens to someone else and so on, but the idea here is, like, why is this happening? Why would I move tokens, why and how, what's the frequency of that happening. So, and basically, how do we incentivize people to, do the right thing, as we can say it. And the right thing is like, that's another philosophical question. What is exactly the right thing? But we would present that by the network equilibrium, as we mentioned before, where the network is as balanced as possible. So the token gravity here, the reason why I wanted to talk about it is that some of the startups or blockchain teams I work with, they have a very good problem or like idea to work on, but then it could be messed up very easily with how they designed their token. Okay, so if a system has, let's say, restaurants, delivery people, and consumers, right? And it's now, from what I said, it's obvious that consumers will all order food from the restaurants, and delivery people, well, drivers will deliver the food from the restaurants to consumers. So this is kind of like the logical transaction, but then how will the token move, so that we don't end up with a network where only restaurants own all the tokens, or the consumers or the drivers, right? So how do we design the system and understand that by nature the tokens, there's a gravity where like it will always go to specific direction, and maybe that's something we want, maybe something we don't want, and it depends really on the problem we're trying to solve and all of that. But in most cases, having one type of actors controlling the majority of the tokens is not probably is not a good thing. So where should we start? I mean, that's a question. So we can't cover everything in 45 minutes, but like, what's the starting point? As in any topic, any idea, any startup idea, or business problem, we have to start from the problem, right? We need to understand the problem when we need to understand the users or the actors involved in this problem. So I like this like basic kind of format. Also, that was part of the Outlier Ventures white paper. So start by asking the core question. Okay. Like, what are we exactly going to be focusing on? Okay, and it needs to follow the SMART framework, and needs to be basically not so narrow, and like it's not a small issue. Okay, and it's also not just we're trying to solve all the problems in the world. Another thing we want to talk about here is the scope of solution space. Basically, when we are trying to solve a problem, the problem could be solved from different angles, and we need to identify exactly, we need to put constraints into like what exactly we're solving, how we're going to solve it. That's before we get into token economics and then even token creation or thinking about that. We need to understand exactly if we want to solve the delivery problem. We want to decentralize, Uber Eats, let's say. We need to define the solution. First, we need to know, is it going to be an app? Is it going to be a web portal or whatever, in details as much as possible, but not in so much details that we basically limit ourselves as well. But at least we need to understand how we're solving the problem, so then we can talk about tokens. This is the idea of constraints of a solution space. And one thing in general, in any innovative work we're working on, we try to put constraints, which for some people it seems counterintuitive to put constraints when you're trying to be innovative. The point here is you're not limiting the solution itself, right? But you're putting boundaries. So you're not just swimming, in the ocean in space with no end goal in sight. Probably one of the most important things ever is to understand exactly who are the stakeholders, the actors involved within the network. And we're gonna give an example of that now. So this is a tool that I use. And again, I'm not covering everything. The time is really limited to cover, to go through a whole process of token design. But this is always the starting point. And this is part of the discovery phase. So we're still in discovery. As we mentioned, we have three Ds: discovery, design, and deployment. This is part of the discovery phase. And the other part, or one other part of the discovery phase, is token utility canvas. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the most important tools to summarize and, my thoughts when I'm talking about any token or thinking of any problem that I want to create a token for. And it's one of the most effective communication tools. Right now, it's probably the one thing that I send the most to people when I want to communicate an idea about a token is the token utility canvas, even though it's not the end goal, but it kind of helps a lot. And probably can give an example of that here. So this is token utility canvas that I created for a project I'm working on. So as you see here, we are starting by with the actors. So there are user types, user, business, consumer, the developer of the app, because one of the characteristics of a decentralized system is there's no one company that is controlling everything, right? But the system needs to be developed and improved. So developers are part of that. And how do we incentivize developers to actually keep improving so it's not stagnant and the system is not stagnant in the future? The platform, basically the platform itself, how maybe everyone that is involved, the nodes and founding team, all of that. The third party, which in here I'm identifying it as the blockchain network nodes. So if we're building on Ethereum, it will be Ethereum nodes. Yeah. And user business, we have two different users. In general, it's service provider, but we have restaurants, drivers, and ambassadors, right? Then the token type. And the token type in general, we have like a couple of different types. We have a usage and work, and also the governance, right? So each type of token has its characteristics, so for example, token maybe gives access to some services, whether digital or physical services. Maybe it provides the right to contribute to work to the network. So for example, in this case, if the restaurants have to, let's say, stack 100 tokens and just to be a restaurant on the network, then they can only get the right to contribute work to the network through this token, right? And also consumers, going back to the first point, consumers can buy this service through the token as well. Yeah. So what is the value of this token, right? Where like tokens are tied to the value and development of the network itself. And basically, like what the point here is, we want to create a system where if the value of the system goes up, the value of the token goes up, right? So if there are more interactions, more people benefiting from that system, then that should impact the token, the token's value. Then the token's value creation, and that's basically like what is the token, what value is the token creating? Yeah, so these are all like very high level stuff. So we're saying that basically the token is enabling the decentralized economy for a small business, or enabling the creation of a decentralized economy for a small business. Also, it facilitates the transactions between customers and small businesses within a specific community. But what is the value capture here? How would, like, as we said here, if the system goes up and like the system's value goes up and there's more transactions and so on, the network, the token itself needs to benefit from this. And that's basically through adoption, staking, and there are other like use cases. Like I would be happy to share this with you to read more of the details in the rest of the document, but these are just high level stuff. And we always want to have a system objective. Okay. Basically, what are we trying to do in general? So here, what I wrote here is to maximize independent business thriving. That's a very high level goal, right? But how would we measure this? By basically measuring the number of transactions per user and maximize trust between network actors, which that basically to measure through repeated transactions between specific actors, I'm gonna try to basically read through this quickly and then wait for any questions. As you guys seen, the token economics canvas or the token utility canvas in the white paper is different from how I have it here. I have it as a table. This is how I like it. Everyone can do whatever makes them comfortable, and it just we start by putting the network identity. What is the first user, first actor? What is it's a business user? It's a restaurant. The network value add. What does this actor add to the network? It sells food and products. It refers consumers because we want the restaurants to tell their clients, order from that new app and instead of Uber Eats, for example. What is the desired behavior? And this is the important thing that I wanted to look at here: desired behavior and undesired behaviors and risks. So every actor, each actor has like desired behavior we want them to do. So for example, we want restaurants to provide products or services as described. We don't want people to order falafel and they end up with I don't know, shawarma, something like that. There's a lot of we want them to provide discounts, maybe, or gift cards. And we want them also to be active in the network, so participate in the governance of the network. And for each action, there's a way to incentivize this, or for each desired behavior. For undesired behaviors, also, for example, we don't want the restaurants to provide low quality service, or not resolving customers' disputes. So this is a very important thing. What if the customer just doesn't like their food? If in a decentralized system, maybe the restaurant can just say, do whatever you want. I'm not going to solve your problem. We don't want this. We want the network in a decentralized system is owned by the restaurants. They should be actively solving consumers' disputes, right? And then we push them. This is there are some actions within the design of the token to whether we punish them if they basically creating the reputation system, and if they don't solve or resolve consumer disputes, they get punished for that. If they resolve it, they get rewarded, and so on. And then there's risk factors, and risk factors basically more of the way I see it, the difference between undesired behaviors and the risk factors is undesired behaviors could the network could still function, but there is a value leakage in the system. Okay, so if the restaurants don't resolve customer disputes, the network may function still for a while, right? But there's a leakage here in the value. The consumer is not getting the value. The restaurant is getting the value, and so on. And then the risk factors are more of network level. That's at least how I see it, hacks, smart contract hacks, or bad bad actors nodes, for example, that trying to take over the Ethereum system or whatever network we're working on, and so on. And for each risk factor, we have a risk mitigation, ways to mitigate these risks, and the same thing for undesired behavior and so on. Then we get into like more detailed stuff like token minting and inflation, stuff like that. But this probably, you know, we don't have enough time to get into more details, and that's all still in the discovery phase. We have not got into the design phase yet. So I will share with you these links, or just to give you like the two main resources that I think very helpful is the token ecosystem creation done by Outlier Ventures in the UK, and the Game Theory 101 website that has courses, and the courses are amazing. The books as well, the books have more examples and details. I'm more of a visual learner, so I like videos, so I actually just took the courses. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, I'm here. Thank you.